All right, so day 7, 1 week in since I started this thing, and it's time for an update. So, 1 week through, started the week at 250 last Monday when I measured in on day 1. Now we're at day 7, and 7 days in, I was at 250 last week Monday when I started, 248 and a half, so about a pound and a half, which is the goal, 1 to 2 pounds a week. Because the goal is not to just lose a lot of weight fast. The goal is to lose fat, not muscle, right? And so I had a waist measurement, so across my waist. Started out at 46 and a half last week. This week I was just a little under 46, so about a half inch off the waist, which is kind of my down and dirty way of measuring whether I'm losing fat or muscle, right? So if my waist is going down, then I'm losing the weight in the right place, right? So a couple of key learning points out of last week, though, is I did my big fast, right? Had my big trigger, the huge meal, had my food baby and the food coma. Did not slip into a binge for the next couple of days, but instead started this YouTube channel and did a 24-day fast to really get back into ketosis, which I did by the time we got to about Tuesday, Wednesday measurements. I was finally in ketosis, and by Wednesday I was in autophagy, right? So dividing glucose by 18, then dividing the resulting number by my ketosis measurement. And if I'm between 1.5 to 3, or basically 3 or less, I'm happy. And I feel like I'm getting the benefits of autophagy from what I've seen from a couple other videos. So accomplished that by Wednesday. Now, in order to do this, though, it was pretty extreme. There was some downsides. So when I broke the fast, when I came out of it, I had macadamia nuts and I had sausage and eggs, my normal keto meal. But man, was my stomach hurting. It went from being super empty to super full, and I was feeling it the next day. By Wednesday, Thursday, I had a 2-day stomach ache that wouldn't go away. So lesson learned there on refeeding, I think is a term after a fast, refeeding. The other thing I did was I was doing a lot of stepping. So 10,000 steps a day. I was trying to just walk, right, staying in aerobic, but I could feel the effects on my body, right? My hips were sore, legs were sore, upper body was sore because I was also doing heavy hands every day. And so I would probably try to do at least a half hour to an hour every day. And so shoulders definitely started to feel kind of sore by the end of the week. So I had to taper that off by the time I got to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, yeah, I was pretty wiped. I was pretty tired. So, lesson learned, basically just don't get in that situation and then whiplash back to do the extreme stuff. But overall, a solid week, and I made progress. No big issues. So, one of the benefits I did have of today, one thing that I did that was good was I went and got a Dexa scan. So, getting even more measurements. So, I'm going to pause this here and start again with my Dexa scan results. What you're looking at is my DEXA scan results. And so I was actually able to get a DEXA scan done. These BodySpec people do a good job. And I really enjoy getting these done because it gives me one of the most accurate measurements of body weight, body fat. And then they not only break it down by lean tissue, they also break it down by basically how much fat you have, how much lean muscle you have, and then how much bone you have. And then obviously there's your total mass here, and then your percentage. And this is the key. When I started this thing way back in 2016, I was at 37% body fat. I've had some ups and downs, and that's one of the key things I want to stress. And this is not a journey of lose weight quickly, right? My journey has been 4 years long, and I plan on this being a lifetime journey, not just a quick diet, lose weight, and then put it right back on. My goal is to find the optimal weight for me, right? So it's been 4 years of back and forth. Even the most recent one I picked back up since last year, August, around the same time. But yeah, that's my goal. So here's what's interesting about this is I really like keto for this very reason right here. See lean tissue. So everyone talks about losing weight. You're going to lose muscle versus losing fat. I like the DEXA scan because it will actually show you how you're losing your weight. And so you can see, even though over the last 4 years, I've gone from 293 to 250, lost 43 pounds, only 8 of it, so about 7, 8 of it has come from lean tissue. Because it's keto, the majority of the weight I lost, and it's not bone either, I only lost zero point 0.3 here, from 109 pounds of fat down to 73. Almost all my weight loss has come from fat on my body. So 43 pounds basically of fat. So not 43, about 43 pounds, 30 some, But all my weight losses come from fat. And what's interesting is even the part that I've lost that is muscle, right? I was talking to my coach about this, Joe Dillon, and he made a very interesting observation is where do you lose your fat, right? If you don't necessarily, the body's smart, right? The body doesn't necessarily need all that muscle, right? Muscle is trying to keep energy for your brain. That's what it really needs to power. But if it doesn't need muscle, it'll get rid of it. And so even though I was frustrated because I lost some fat or some lean body tissue, it was basically because I'm not carrying around a 50-pound dumbbell anymore on my body everywhere I go, getting out of bed, going upstairs, getting up and down. I really don't need it, right? And so one thing I like about this DEXA scan is it breaks down your measurements by portion of the body. So you can see how much mass you have for each section, for your arms, your legs, your trunk. But also, if you do this over time, you can see trends, both for fat, how you're trending up or down, whether you're losing fat or gaining fat, and for lean tissue, right? And so for me, you can see in the lean tissue, even though I've lost about 7-8 pounds of lean tissue, you can see where it came from. In my arms, I've actually put on more muscle, right? It makes sense because I do a lot of heavy hands working out, right? And where most of the lean tissue losses come from, this 6% drop, then 3%, then 2%, is 4 pounds, then 2. So about 7, 8 of those pounds has been in my legs, which makes a ton of sense because if you look at the fat loss, it has come primarily from my trunk, right? So when I lost weight, a lot of it came from my trunk, right? So I'm just basically not carrying as much, so my legs don't need to be as muscular as they were. So really like this report, and I'm thinking now that I'm doing this channel for accountability purpose, I'm actually going to do this every month. So if you've never heard of a DEXA scan, fairly affordable. It does cost, but I mean the information is so accurate, right? Like this weight that I have is much more accurate than what I get with my scale. And it's about $50. I think now they have a program which I'm gonna jump on. It's monthly. Just get a subscription every month. Pop in, get a DEXA scan, and see where and how I'm losing the weight. So I really like this tool. So talking to my mentor, Joe, the goal that we set is the first goal is 15%. Like my ultimate goal is I want 6-pack abs. That's what I really want to get down to. But to get there is pretty far off, right? That's got to be at least under 10% body fat, right? But first goal is to get to 15%. So the immediate goal, so we can actually do some math here, which I was fascinated by, which is intuitively it makes sense, but it was kind of like, that's interesting. But if I take my lean tissue and divide this by 0.85, I will actually get my ideal body weight at 15%. Makes sense, right? 85 plus 15 is 100%. So 85% of basically at 100%, if 85% of my body weight is 168, I need my ideal weight at 15% would be 198 pounds. So right now, my first goal is to get to 200. Should take me, losing a pound a week would be about a year, right? A year from now, I would be right at that ideal where I'm 15% body fat and have 168 pounds of lean tissue. So about a year. If I lose 2 pounds a week, obviously that would be 6 months. But the risk is if I start pushing too hard, then I'll start eating into this, which would change all the calculations some more, right? And so that's goal one. Then to actually get the 6-pack abs, I need to be down around 10% or less, so 8 to 10% or so. So if I can go from 198 to 187, then I'll be able to accomplish my goal of 6-pack abs. So it's day 7, another week. Going to hit it hard for this week and continue with the aerobic exercise. I'm not going to be fasting as much as I did last week or working out as hard, so I'll probably lose under 2 pounds this week is kind of the pace. More than likely, I won't be doing as much heavy hands and probably won't be hitting 10,000 steps a day, maybe cut it down to about 5,000 steps. But that's the plan for this week. All right, see you next week.